It's perplexing. It doesn't make sense. If the goal is to win a championship, you're bet you could probably do that with some patience and 2 years in Brooklyn. But now you're gonna get traded to a team who's gonna have to figure it out and who's gonna try to have to rebuild around you in this offseason. Just the timing, it's a mess, bro. It's a mess.
Yeah, that's kind of selling it short. I think it's one of the biggest like travesties as far as roster building in the NBA, like as far as the NBA's history.
Let me put you on game.
I am reeling off of this crazy week of the reality TV show that is the NBA offseason. It's hilarious. It's crazier than Housewives of Atlanta or Beverly Hills or Love and Hip Hop. All those dramas got nothing to do on Adrian Wojnarowski tweeting something and Twitter going ablaze as a result. So it's
Yeah.
been endlessly fascinating. How about you, my brother?
It's a lot. It's a lot to process and a lot to deal with because there's just so much going on. But I mean, let's not even bury the lead. Let's get into the biggest story of the weekend. Kevin Durant requesting a trade formally from the Brooklyn Nets. There were a lot of rumors prior to the actual trade request. Namely, we talked about it last week with Kyrie, but since our last show, Kyrie opted in to his $36 million contract. And then we thought, because he said, see you this fall, I thought the Brooklyn Nets were going to stay together as a team and we're just going to go forward with him, Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant. And that's how it's going to go. But in true Nets fashion, that's not at all what's happening because Kevin Durant's requesting a trade. He apparently wants to either go to the Phoenix Suns or the Miami Heat. But he may not have any leverage in the situation because he has
Mhm.
4 years left on his contract. But yeah, it's a lot. It was probably one of the most appalling moves of recent memory, probably since he actually left OKC to go to Golden State.
Mm.
That was pretty appalling as well. But yeah, we talked about it in text. It was bananas. But how are you feeling about what were your initial reactions to the trade requests and how do you feel about its effect on the league and where it's going?
I mean, my initial thoughts were just what? What are you doing, bro? Um, and I guess this is what happens when you follow Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you kind of follow him into the abyss, and I think Kevin Durant is in between a rock and a hard place. It seems like I was having this conversation with my cousin, who was really knowledgeable on basketball, and we were discussing that Kevin Durant has his priorities all over the place. You sign a contract extension in the middle of the season to secure your future and to secure your bag. But you're Kevin Durant, you're going to get a bag no matter what, but he decides to do that. Now his contract almost seems like, a discount compared to the likes of a Jokic and Devin Booker that we can get into later. But you sign that contract, so you're locked in. You lose all leverage and ability to sway the front office in the offseason. And now we're in the offseason and you're requesting a trade. So you lose all ability to really ideally choose the place that you want to go to. Because you could always, I guess, as a player, say, I'm not going to play. But when you got 4 years left in your contract and you have a mindset like KD who needs to be, who needs to play, he's not going to be the kind of guy to just sit out for the sake of sitting out. And so I'm confused as to what the goals of his legacy are. Is it to win? Is it to hoop? Or is it to play with your friends? Or is it to get the bag? Because you chose getting the bag to forsake your ability to really choose where you want to go in the offseason. And now, whatever team you get traded to is going to be gutted as a result of you going there. A la Carmelo Anthony, a la Anthony Davis to the Lakers, and Melo to the Knicks. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Lakers, were able to get that bubble championship, so kudos to them. But in terms of what happened with Melo and other play, like you're gonna get what you're gonna you're the Nets, you're gonna want superstars, you're gonna want a bevy of draft picks. Rudy Gobert was just traded for 4 first round picks.
Five.
Dejounte five, excuse me, five. Dejounte Murray was traded for four, and as well as just so you look at the haul that they got, and Kevin is gonna demand more, maybe six, along with an All Star. They're saying Phoenix, and Phoenix for what? Phoenix, the Nets want Booker. And Phoenix is like, we'll pass. So now where are you gonna go? Miami? What, you're gonna get rid of Bam and Tyler Hero? I just I really it doesn't, it's perplexing. It doesn't make sense. Um, he's gonna go somewhere and if the goal is to win a championship, you're bet you could probably do that with some patience and 2 years in Brooklyn. But now you're gonna get traded to a team who's gonna have to figure it out and who's gonna try to have to rebuild around you in this offseason. Just the timing, it's a mess, bro. It's a mess.
Yeah, that's kind of selling it short. I think it's one of the biggest like travesties as far as roster building in the NBA, like as far as the NBA's history, because you think about the history of Kevin Durant. He comes into Brooklyn, and there's the whole thing about how he really admired Brooklyn's culture because Kenny Atkinson had taken the D'Angelo Russell led Nets to the postseason the year before, so they already had this kind of infrastructure. But then he comes in, and Steve Nash is the new coach. So it's like the whole culture that you kind of admired and you wanted to be a part of is kind of thrown out the window once you get there. But I mean, that's neither here nor there because
I mean, and
I
they
think,
gutted the team.
yeah, they gutted the team. So it's like there's not really much left of what you desired to be a part of. So that's probably a PR spin. But like after that, there's the whole, I mean, of course, attaching yourself to Kyrie. I'm trying to walk myself through this whole thing because it's crazy. But like, then there's a whole attaching yourself to Kyrie Irving thing, and then there's of course the comical quotes about him, like, "Well, we don't need a head coach. Kevin could be the head coach, and I could be the head coach." And then it's like, all right, well, that's probably a problem. And then
Yeah.
of course you have the year and wait where KD is out, and then they're trying to piece things together in that way, and they play together, but they don't really get to play together. I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and apparently Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant over the course of 3 seasons have only played 44 games together. So like that, and then you include the inclusion of James Harden, and then those three play even less games together as a trio. So it's just like this really haphazard attempt to build a super team. And then of course you have Kyrie, who is incredibly, he's just like leaving fires wherever he goes. Like it's just like this wake of destruction. So I think, I don't know if I'm so confused about what KD wants, because KD is I think one of the smartest, but also one of the hardest to figure out superstars in NBA history. You don't really have a good idea of what he's thinking or what he's going to do. So it's like, is he hitching himself to Kyrie Irving and saying to the Nets that you treated my guy bad, you didn't give him what he wanted, like you weren't willing to invest in him, so I'm out? Or is it him looking at the writing on the wall and being like, yo, like I love Kyrie, that's my guy, but like you don't put me in some precarious situations. You got me out here playing 48 minutes a game during the regular season, trying to piece together a team while you're over here like being on your righteous ish and not really wanting to suit up because of the whole vax thing. So it's a really confusing situation. It says a lot about where kind of player empowerment has gone in a lot of ways. I think it might have gone a step too far in this instance, because now you have organizations like the Nets who got these two superstars and they essentially said, we're going to do whatever you want us to do. Because you have Kyrie coming off of not playing half a season saying after they get swept by the Boston Celtics, hey, me, Joe, and Sean Marks are going to sit down and figure out what the direction of this team is after you didn't play for said team for half of the season. So it's just like they're just kowtowing to these two superstars, and like they've forsaken all of their power in the situation. But then once they decide that, hey, like we are going to grow a pair and we are going to try to like, put our foot down on this, like, no, we're not going to pay you 40 something $million a year for the next 4 years. Like we can't do that. Then they lose both. So it's like, it's just this whole mess on the part of the Nets and the part of Kyrie and KD. Like, I don't know. I don't know where the blame lies. I don't know what's happening. It's all very interesting. It's laughably interesting, but I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know where KD is going to go. Cause like you said, everyone has to leverage all of these assets. Like, and the places that do have the assets and the roster to put together a good package, he's not going to want to go there. Like if you think about a team like New Orleans, like if you do Brandon Ingram, like maybe Herb Jones, Alvarado, some picks, whatever young players you got to throw together so you can keep Zion and CJ McCollum on the team. Like and then add KD, that's a really formidable team in the West. But like, does he really want to go play for New Orleans? Does he really want to hitch himself to someone who also might play half a season? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. That's a long diatribe for me to just say like, I don't know what the hell going on.
Yeah, it's a mess, to say the least. Like apparently, the Nets have fielded calls from half the teams in the association to um see what's up with KD, but again, is he going to want to play there? Um, the and then that also mixed in with the delusions of grandeur of a Kyrie Irving and us not really knowing what the Nets are going to do with him either. It's
They have to trade him now. Like,
they
I
have
they
to.
have to.
Yeah, but it's just such a quagmire. It's like, where's he gonna go? And all points, all signs point to LA for a Russell Westbrook Kyrie trade, yo. Like, I think it's gonna be my problem for your problem, kind of thing. Especially after the dust settles, and I think Brooklyn is probably gonna end up getting Westbrook, and that'll be that. So, it remains to be seen. This is such a funky, clunky situation, but my God, is it great drama.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, we'll definitely be tapped in with this because hopefully we'll have a resolution by the time the next podcast rolls around. Because I think there were a lot of deals, but I think there are some deals that didn't happen because teams are in wait to see what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. So, I mean, I think the dominoes will start falling even more once KD finds a home, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Thanks for checking out this segment of the Put You On Game podcast, where we discuss everything from hoops to hi-hats.
Give us your thoughts on the video in the comment section, and you can also find the full podcast in the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.